This is the Balanced Life Podcast, and I'm Tiffany. So last week, I started part one of this two-part series for people who have a small business and are trying to grow it to bring in more money. If you didn't hear the previous podcast, go listen to it after this one. They aren't necessarily sequential, so you can listen to today's show and then go listen to last week. If you go to thebalancedlife.com, you can see I have all kinds of resources and tools to help you, including an archive of podcasts. All right, so last week I shared some things that it's good to spend capital on to grow your business, as well as starting to talk about some ways that you can grow your business without money. I'm going to pick up with more ideas on free things that you can do. That's free, F-R-E-E, not the number. So free things that you can do, and then end today with some considerations before you decide if your business can afford to spend more money. The first one on today's show isn't going to be a huge shock, so I won't spend too much time here. It's social media and content marketing. Social media platforms and content marketing obviously offer cost-effective ways to engage your audience and build brand awareness. I do want to caution businesses that may not do a lot of writing that this won't always be free if you have to pay a contractor or staff to create the content for you. But if you're simply posting updates or photos of your latest product or service, this can absolutely be a great low-cost way to reach new people. In fact, there's a resale shop here in my town. He goes in a few times a week and takes pictures of some of his new stuff and what the price is, dimensions, things like that. Sometimes he walks around his store and takes pictures of other vendors' booths. And he does a lot of business that way. I know because I'm in there about once a week after I see his pictures and he tells me about it. So that's one way of creating content. And by creating valuable content, engaging with your followers, and leveraging social media tools, you can reach a broad audience without large marketing budgets. Effective content marketing strategies include blogging, creating informative videos, uploading pictures, like I told you, that have valuable things like cost and dimensions, and participating in industry forums to kind of establish your expertise, maybe attract potential customers or others in the industry. I do want to be very clear on one point, though. This doesn't mean getting a Facebook page and calling it good. You need to have your own website where you have access to your customers. I did a whole video of this on my Balanced Life YouTube channel. So if you'd like to see more about that, there's more there. If you have questions, you can send them in and I can maybe do a podcast on it as well. But you need to not just rely on Facebook to promote your business for a variety of reasons. I'd be happy to share if you need that, if there's enough interest. In reality, your customers see very little of you outside of your website, and assuming a Facebook business page is a substitute for the actual website is a really bad move. Another basically free thing, low cost, is improving customer retention. It costs way less to keep a customer than it does to get one. I am a huge fan of loyalty programs and discounts, but offering exceptional customer service and regularly engaging with your customers can enhance satisfaction and encourage repeat business just as easily. Building strong relationships with your customer base often leads to increased sales through referrals and repeat purchases. So building an environment in your business where you try to give your customer the kind of experience that makes a good impression on them is critical. And like I said last week, your employees are your first customers. If you are creating an engaged environment where employees feel appreciated and involved, they will be happier, and that will carry to the customers. I like to give introductory discounts and loyalty rewards. As I said previously, I also am a huge fan of referral programs and paying affiliates. If my customers had a great experience with one of my products and tells a friend, then I want that customer and their friend to get something for it. That's just kind of how I do it. And so by improving your customer retention, by creating great stuff, appreciating your customers and making sure they're aware of that, giving rewards for loyalty for our new customers, and then treating your employees right, that it doesn't cost you anything. and it is well worth it. Another thing to build your business is utilizing free or low-cost tools. There is a wealth of free or low-cost tools available that can assist with various aspects of business management. For example, free project management software, customer relationship, the CRM type of softwares, marketing platforms can help you streamline operations. It can help you improve efficiency without, being too expensive. I use Google Sheets and shared documents with my team to help make communication more effective during the day rather than texting and emailing, which is kind of interrupting them all the time. I don't think it's a good practice for me to constantly bug my employees when I'm asking them to focus on their work, because if they're answering my text messages, they're answering other people's too. So if I need them, I put it in a shared communication sheet, and when they're between projects or on a break, they can see it. Rather than call someone and interrupt workflow on either end, my core team and I have color codes on priority projects that indicate who needs to look at something next. And then when it's ready for publication, it makes it really easy. It gives it a good flow. So take advantage of resources like these to manage your business effectively while minimizing expenses. Also, doesn't cost you to foster a culture of innovation. Encouraging a culture of innovation within your team can lead to new ideas and improvements without a lot of money. Promote an environment where employees feel empowered to suggest and implement innovative solutions. Often, creative problem solving and resourcefulness can lead to breakthroughs that drive business growth. This is really important, by asking your employees' input, finding out what their interests are, and listening to their ideas. This starts all the way back at the job interview. If you've hired people who are interested in what your business does and they like their job, you will often find these people on your team. As I've said previously, the key is to start with hiring well, not finding the cheapest person that you can find. Making your employees your first customer and building a business culture that encourages innovation. If this is an area you struggle with, investing in yourself through library resources or other means to learn would, be money well spent. So, this is what you want. A business that grows in a bunch of different ways. So now we will finish with some ways to evaluate when to pursue ideas that require capital and when you should not. I have tried to create a detailed, though not comprehensive, evaluation criteria to help small business owners decide whether to allocate funds for expansion or to pursue alternative strategies. The most obvious one would be assessing potential return on investment, your ROI. Before you commit, money, calculate the potential ROI for each investment opportunity. Analyze how the investment will contribute to revenue growth truthfully. Cost savings or operational efficiency. Truthfully, you have to use real numbers. A high ROI indicates that the investment is likely to yield significant benefits, so it makes it a little bit, better choice. For instance, investing in the right technology may lead to cost savings by helping your team function more efficiently together, like in the example I gave last week, and kind of what I talked about with this Google Sheets communication thing that we do. We allow for more efficient, focused work, and the ROI is very high. Next, evaluating alignment with business goals. Ensure that any expenditure aligns with your overall business goals and strategy. Evaluate whether the investment supports your long-term objectives, such as marketing expansion, product development, or improving a customer experience. Investments that are in line with your strategic vision are more likely to drive meaningful growth. This means that if you haven't taken the time to really figure out where you're trying to go next, that this would be the first step. In the past, I fell into the trap of simply saying my goal was to grow and increase revenue. You're probably laughing right now, I know. Until I sat down and figured out what my target customers most needed and how to best meet that need and create products and services to address that in a way that was equal to or better than what other people were doing, I really couldn't do that. I couldn't grow. I couldn't increase revenue. If it has been a while since you looked at your goals and strategies and how well they're working, you should really take about 15 minutes to do that. And then check your expenditures to be sure that they're still in line with what your goals are. When you look at thebalancedlife.com, which is my website, you see a website with a clear goal to help businesses and help people balance the various parts of their life. I recognize that it looks different to different people, but we do that in a variety of ways and we continue to innovate. If you want some ideas, go look at my website and see what we're trying to do and create. Would anything we're doing help you with your clients? So, look at some of the stuff we're doing and consider, would you like to add stuff like that to your website? Do you want to have the blogs, a podcast? Do you simply want to have a lot of pictures? Do you want to have some kind of a feed on there, whether it's a photograph feed or a Reddit feed or something? I have my YouTube feed in there. I have my podcast feed in there. So it auto updates, but it keeps people informed. So I'm adding content very regularly. I have a monthly newsletter. My goal is to help people without being intrusive in their business. So I try to update regularly, but not constantly. You know that there's going to be new content every single week. And you know that consistently there'll be things coming out that you can follow, whether it's the podcast, the newsletter, the blog, something else. You know there's things out there. Every week you should be reviewing cash flow to see where it's coming from and where it's going. But another consideration is considering financial health and cash flow on a deeper level when you're considering expansion. Assess your current financial needs and your cash flow before you make a significant investment. Ensure that you have sufficient reserves to cover both the investment and any potential risks associated with it. Avoid overextending your finances because this can really, it can destroy your business's stability or your business altogether. A well-managed cash flow is essential for sustaining your operations, funding growth initiatives, and carrying you with surplus over those leaner times. A mentor of mine once told me that when I was launching something, to plan for wild success and for complete failure. Later, this was probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I was learning about retirement planning, and the woman who was teaching the course said essentially the same thing, but she said it in a different way. She said to plan for extremes, never for averages. If you're trying to sail a boat in a lake, the average depth isn't helpful. You need to know how shallow and how deep the water gets in a given area. It's the same thing with your business. Do you have the reserves to hold on if the worst thing happens? And do you have the team and systems in place to manage if things become wildly successful? Can you at least grow and scale? Do you know how you're going to expand next, how to hire, where to hire? Because both are possible outcomes and you can't just plan for gradual, sustained growth. All right. Consider current market conditions and timing when evaluating investment opportunities. Economic factors, industry trends, and competitive dynamics can influence the effectiveness of your investment. Certain industries like exercise and goal-focused businesses do better, around the new year or possibly right before summer if you're doing a weight loss thing. When people have goals and resolutions, I know it's an obvious example, but you can wrap your mind about it. What are the ebbs and the flows in your industry? And consider that when you're evaluating your capital outlays. Are you about to go into a lean season? And if so, do you have enough in reserves? Or are you stepping into the big heavy season where you're going to have a reasonable amount of capital coming in to support your new changes in investments? Okay, then next is reviewing potential risks and mitigation strategies. Identify and assess potential risks associated with the investment. Develop strategies to mitigate these risks, such as conducting thorough market research or implementing contingency plans. Understanding the risks involved helps you to make informed decisions, and it prepares you to handle any challenges that may arise. Kind of think through it first before you step out so you have an idea of what you might do if something bad happened to the best of your ability, because you're not going to always be able to anticipate it. Along those same lines, seeking feedback and expert advice. Consult with advisors and mentors or industry experts to gain insight and feedback on your proposed investments. Their experience and expertise can provide valuable perspectives and help you make more informed decisions. Seeking external input can also help identify potential pitfalls and refine your business development strategy. Measuring performance and adjustment strategies. Make sure you're doing this. Once you've started a process, you need to establish metrics to measure its performance and impact on your business. You need to know what the numbers say and what that means. If you are not positive the metrics to follow, it's worth paying for someone's time to learn. The money that you spend, you'll earn back, provided they're good at what they do. Because once you have solid metrics and trustworthy data collection, you can then regularly review these metrics to assess whether the investment is meeting your expectations and contributing to growth. Be prepared to adjust your strategies based on performance data and changing circumstances, but also know how long it takes to see results for change. Some metrics have a slow buildup, so you need to know how much time to give a change to really influence customer behavior. And there's going to be different timelines for different things, different kinds of advertising versus sales versus foot traffic, all these different things. And that's why it's really important that you find somebody that you can trust who can advise you in some of these areas, and then you continue to monitor. It's not like it's a perfect science, like a vending machine, but there are ways to make it easier. That's why over these last 2 podcasts, I've been trying to introduce you to some things to kind of ask and think about so that you can create the right strategy for your business. It's because many people experience what Michael Gerber in the E-Myth calls the entrepreneurial seizure. They look at what their employer does and decide, oh, I can do that better, faster, and for a higher profit, but they're not prepared for all the nuances and all the different things that go into it. On the other hand, there's other people who just enjoy the game of building a business. They get so focused sometimes on the fun of building that they forget the customer and the employees' needs, and it's about the business and not about the people that make the business. Both of these things can set a business up to fail unnecessarily. That's why I've presented a bunch of questions over these last 2 podcasts and kind of pointed out some things. I'm hoping that these questions will help you to slow down for a moment and think through things, like look at things. Don't just tell yourself, oh, I've already thought about that. Write down the question and say, okay, what is the answer to this? Because something may have changed since you thought about it. And you're in a period of growth and expansion. And so it's important to see what has changed. And don't worry, you don't have to do it perfect. Just start, just try. We all fail sometimes. Just try to fail forward. I'll see you next time at thebalancedlife.com.